All right, so I've started the recording now, so we'll start the Twilight. Anyone else who joins can catch up. So thanks so much for signing up to these Twilights. We've never really done this before, and to be quite honest, we weren't really expecting the response that we've had in terms of how many people have initially signed up to come to this Twilight. So I think the first thing to sort of say is that this is specifically for the UK teams and teachers and students, but it is relevant to everybody else from a global F1 in Schools point of view. So if you have joined and found the link through our LinkedIn page from a global point of view, then that's absolutely fine. It's great to have you here to listen and see what this is all about. But if you do have specific questions linked to the competition in your country outside of the UK, then they might need to get asked to your ICC or your global delivery partner, as I might not be able to answer some of the questions if they're specific to your competition. So just to introduce myself, some of you already know that I'm Tom Milner and I'm the UK and Ireland National Project Manager. So as I said, I'm running this event for my UK teachers and students. However, I'm happy for whoever wants to come and join to come. There is a series of Twilights you will have hopefully seen on the email that's gone out there every Monday, 4 till 4:30. They will be recorded and shared. So if you can't make one and you want to see the recording, then please jump in it and see that. And I'm trying to just deliver some insight into the scorecards, into what I think is the best way to tackle those, to give some examples of what good portfolios do look like. I've been given permission from some teams to share some of their work, although I'm not sharing the full portfolio with teams afterwards. I'm just going to be sharing the PowerPoint, of which there's lots of examples in this PowerPoint for you to see. In terms of housekeeping, I've already mentioned it, but this is being recorded. So if you're not happy about that, turn off your camera, or you can leave and you can watch the recording if you want to. I have obviously microphone muted everybody, mainly because there's so many people who said they were initially supposed to be coming. We've got 27 people on the call, so it just wouldn't work, I think, if everybody was muting, unmuting, etc. So if you do have a question, as I mentioned, stick it in the chat, please. And they're going to be addressed at the end of the session. I think I've already covered most of this in my speech before, but yeah, this information is for UK specific teams, but anyone else, please do ask questions if they're relevant to the Twilight, but if not, you might have to ask your ICC. And I can't take questions on queries on any scoring. So if anyone's here who's competed previously and you've got a question about a score from a judging session, then I won't be able to answer that. That needs to go to your ICC from that point of view. And on judges' procedures, they're different in every country. We stay out of the judging procedure. We set it up, we get the judges, we give them the scorecards, we train them, we give them briefings, but the judges take in our session when I'm talking and showing through some of the things and highlighting stuff. This is just best practice. This doesn't mean that you're going to get the best score and you're going to win the whole competition if you do exactly what I've said. So please do take it as that and don't take it as this is the be all and end all of what you have to do from F1 in Schools. Okay, so that's all housekeeping, everything. Hopefully everyone's happy with that. So I just thought I'd set the scene a little bit. We've just got our World Finals highlights video back, and it's a really cool video. It's nice just to see those people who are new to F1 in Schools who've jumped on here. It's great to watch. If you did compete and maybe you're at the World Finals again, it's great to watch. And if you've got ambitions to get to a World Finals or a National Finals, then this is quite a nice video to watch. So I'll stick this on. Hopefully the audio is going to come through. And then in 3 minutes time, we'll come back and crack on with design engineering portfolios. All right, so that was the World Finals video, which obviously was an amazing. Sorry for the echo there. With the amazing experience and brilliant for the teams, but it doesn't matter what level you're at and where you're going. Design engineering portfolios, etc., are really important to build and to get to that. Especially in the UK, because we have our regional season and then into our nationals and then go into the World Finals. It's just important to highlight before we do anything that we do use Turnitin software. So anything that I share today is in and loaded into the software. And we do this for all our national finals and for all of our world finals documents. So anything in a world finals or a national finals is put into this system. And it basically is used to check for potential plagiarism of work. Obviously, it highlights things and words that are already there, but it's looking for work and copy. So if you are tempted to look at this PowerPoint presentation and just to use the work, which I'm sure you won't be, then just be aware that it will get flagged, especially if you go through a regional and get into a national competition. So we do use Turnitin. If you want to check it out and see what it's all about, then have a look. If you've got any questions about it as well, then feel free to ping those across. Right, on to the proper stuff then, what we're all looking for. Design and engineering portfolio. It's obviously there's obviously a few elements that are part of this, and there'll be a twilight in each of those, but we're focusing firstly on design engineering, probably because everyone's starting their stuff in the UK now to work towards regionals, and your car design and your design engineering portfolio is probably one of those things that you start first and you work towards, so trying to do it in a nice order. So what do you actually have to do? If you are an entry class team, your design engineering portfolio is 5 pages long. If you're a development class team, you've got a slightly different scorecard, and your pages are 5 pages long for your document. And professional class, you have the same scorecard as development class, but you've got twice as many pages to fill up with your content, so 10 pages up to. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to do 5 pages or 10 pages. You can do what you want, but that's what we say is a good limit. And you won't get scored on more than that. So if you do 11 pages, the judges will look at the first 10 pages. If you do 6 pages in development or entry class, you'll get judged on your 5 pages, not the extra ones. So there's a tip already to just stick to the amount of pages that's been offered there for you to do from that point of view. Just remember that it doesn't include a front and a back page. If you've got a front cover and a contents page, they don't count as your content. And if you have a back page with a picture or something just to sandwich your document nicely when you print it out, then again, that doesn't count. It's only the ones with the core content on. And it's just a little bit of a hidden tip. Always include your team name, number, and school on the front of your front cover if possible, just so that if yours goes missing or a judge takes it somewhere, everybody knows who the work is and you can get it back, especially again if you're going to be passing it down to the next team who comes from your school, who are going to try and F1 schools, or if you've progressed to a national final or a world final, you might obviously want to make sure you still got your work to document that journey, and to make sure you keep it all. So please bear that in mind. So in terms of the scorecard, I'm just going to quickly just flick on to the entry class scorecard and then the development professional class, and then I'm going to move on to some examples where we can see how the scorecard actually works. But I think it's really key at this point to say that the scorecards are everything to this competition. When we give a briefing to the judges, we tell the judges not to take or not score any points outside of the scorecard. So if you're doing something for your design engineering portfolio that doesn't fit into the categories on the scorecard, then you might not want to waste your time doing it. Just do stuff that's going to benefit you and your team on the scorecard. That's absolutely critical. Now, if you've got time to extra, then that's brilliant, but maybe put it in a way where it doesn't take up space in your portfolio. If you can fill it up with other bits and pieces, that's really important. And I think also, if you've competed before in F1 in schools, you obviously get feedback back. Now, it's quite difficult to interpret that feedback, I'll be completely honest, because a regional set of judging scores are going to be different to a national set of judging scores that are going to be different to a world final set of judging scores, mainly because so at a regional final, your work might have been the best, so you're moderated against everybody else and you're going to have really high scores. Then at a national, again, if you're midfield, then you might have midfield kind of scores when you get your scorecard back, but that doesn't mean that you've got worse than what you did in the regionals. It just means you're moderated against everybody else, and the same can be for a world final as well. So please do bear that in mind as you progress through the competition. just because you scored really high at the regionals, but then you got slightly lower in the nationals, that doesn't mean your work's got any worse. It just means the competition's got better, and where you're moderated and where you fit into that is showcased via your scores. So if you didn't progress to the next level, then you can use your regional scorecards as a really good pitch to write, where do I need to improve? If you did go from regionals to nationals, then you probably want to discard your regional scorecard and just use your national one, because that's going to give you a really good idea, as I said, for where it is that you need to improve at a national level. So you've got to take each one individual to the competition that you went to. The class portfolio for design and engineering, it's made up for 100 points, and there's 5 sort of main elements to it, or 4 main elements if you look at it like each line item. So you've got initial ideas, design and development, testing, manufacturing, and then you've got this document presentation down here. Now, document presentation, everyone should be scoring somewhere up in this top box by just putting a little bit of effort into the setup of your work, making it really clear, making everything nice and consistent, and trying to be as professional as possible with the work that you do. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use a computer to do that, but more often than not, creating a PowerPoint to build your portfolio, or using Adobe Illustrator or something like that, is going to allow you the freedom to be able to move things around quite easily, to line things up so they're nice and neat, to put fancy boxes, or to put your team's colors onto your document. So just think cleverly about that. If you've got someone in your team who's really neat and really organized, maybe they want to take the lead on how the portfolio should look. Now, our best advice to entry class teams, and again, this is only for UK teams because there's not entry class in all countries, but UK teams who are just trying F1 in schools, you probably want 1 page on initial ideas, that makes sense. 1 page on design development, that makes sense. 1 page on testing, that makes sense. And then a page on manufacturing. So you've got a really natural 5-page document where you've got 4 pages to fill in, and then you've got 1 spare page to try and maybe do a little bit more development or some more initial ideas, whichever area you've got more information for. But if you go off the basis that you've got initial ideas on 1 page, design development on 1, testing, and then manufacturing, you've got a nice storyboard, and you've got a really nice way of laying out your initial go at F1 in schools. So that's the entry class one. Everything's scored off 20, and it's all in bands. So the low band is 1 to 4, the mid band is 5 to 11, and the high band is 12 to 20. And what we say to the judges is to judge the work on the band. So figure out what band when you're moderating the work, and then really delve into the detail and then pick a number within that band. Okay. So trying to make sure you're in that top box and you're using that. And don't be afraid to ask your teachers to use the scorecard. Maybe not your F1 in schools coordinator. Ask someone else in the school who can take the scorecard and take the work and really drill into it and see what they think it would get. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what it would get, but at least it's going to give you an idea before you come to the competition. So if you're finishing the work the night before, you're not going to have time to do that. So I would bear that in mind. And if you've got teams, entry class teams, if you've got other teams in your school who are higher up doing development professional class, get them to share their work. Find out what it is that they did so that you can look at them as a benchmark and you can work towards that. So make sure you support each other within your schools. So that's entry class. Development Pro class is a little bit different. So if I just flick over here, you can see there's 2 pages worth of scorecard on here. So it's 180 points for Dev and Pro. And again, it's 5 pages for development class teams and 10 pages for professional class teams. And you can do an A3 document or an A4. Again, that's completely up to you. But obviously, if you use an A3 document, you've got a lot more space to fill a lot more content. And it works in the same way. There's a different line item, and there's bands going up or down for mid, low, mid, and high. So bear that in mind and use the scorecard. If you look in the scorecard, for example, and you've not done any computer-aided analysis or CFD of your car, then you're going to lose 20 points straight away. So that's where it becomes really important. If you've not got any design concepts at all, because you've gone straight into CAD, then you're losing 20 points straight away. So you really need to look in and drill into the scorecard about, right, what are the key things that I need to do to make sure that I can get maximum points out of this scorecard? And teachers, you need to help the students get what they can out of the scorecard so that at least they've got a crack at getting something in there. And most design engineering meetings are between 15 and 25 minutes long. You're trying to convey all of your hard work and everything in your F1 Schools journey to a judge in 15 to 25 minutes. So it's really, really, really important that these things stand out. And it goes back to, in this scorecard, the document presentation. If you're presenting it in such a clear and concise way, it's going to make it easier for the judges to be able to see where you've done that. So if you can just dedicate a page to testing, brilliant. You can dedicate a page to testing. It's really easy for the judges to see that, and then you can discuss that in your meeting with them and prove to them that you're a top band team and why you should be scoring as high as you're scoring. So use terminology from the scorecards when you're talking with the judges, when they're asking you questions. Don't be afraid to use it to help you, and don't be afraid to have the scorecards with you as notes to be able to talk through them. Everybody has got a copy of the scorecards. It's not a hidden thing. It's not a secret thing. You can find them in the rules and regulations. Use the scorecards. It's really, really important that you do that. And that's probably the one big takeaway from today, is that if you're not using the scorecard or you barely look at it, then you probably, not doing what you should be doing. That should be next to you in every team meeting that you have. It should be next to you every time you're working on your portfolios. Anytime you're doing anything linked to design engineering, your scorecard should be next to you so that you know exactly what you're doing. And then the flip side of that is documenting everything. Document everything you think that should be in your portfolio. Take a picture of it, screen grab it, whatever it is that you need to do so it's in your portfolio, and just make sure that when you go back to starting to put your portfolio together, you've got a massive bank of pictures to be able to use in your portfolios to jog your memory about what you've done. Make notes on your meetings so that you know exactly why you did something, and so you can put it into your portfolio. Because it might be that you get into your portfolio, as I said, and finishing it a couple of nights before the competition kicks off. You might get to a page and be like, oh, what did we actually do for manufacturing? And then you might forget some of the key processes, or you might forget about one of the iterations of your design, or how a car failed for a specific reason. Well, that'd be something that you'd want to talk to the judges about. So make sure you document everything that's in there. Now, it doesn't work the same for Devon Pro. You can't have a page of design concepts, then a 3D modeling page, then your CFD page, then your CAM and CNC page, because you've got 5 pages by the time you've got to the 5th line item. So you've got to be really clever here about where are you going to put the information, what's more important, and what's going to take up most of the space. And I'll be able to hopefully show you that in the example about how a team's done that really well. And what I've done is I've used a really good development class portfolio because it hopefully shows some of the entry class teams sort of what it kind of would look like, but it'll also show the Devon Pro teams what a really good one, or how a really good one is presented from that point of view. And just remember, students, that you'll be doing research and development all of the time. So you might not want a research and development page. It might be that you have research and development sections in each of your page. So like on your 3D modeling, you might be researching an aerofoil, or you might be researching something that's having an impact on your design. Well, put that research on that page near that specific element of the different iterations that you're doing. It might be that you do some research for your CFD page. You might visit your local F1 in Schools Academy, or you might meet up with somebody from ANSYS or Autodesk to give you some advice. Well, then you can build that into that page and you can talk about it on there. So again, you can be clever about how you research and develop and show that, but you can clever about what you do for your other elements that are part of your document as well. So that's the scorecards for the UK in a nutshell. But I want to keep moving on because I've only got about 7 minutes before the half an hour's up. So it is definitely a bit of a rush, and I want to get to the examples. So this is what the judges say in their feedback to us all the time. Teams don't use the scorecard enough. Use the scorecard. I've just sort of gone through that. Know your content. If you sit down in front of the judges and you've had loads of help from an external company or from your teacher, and you don't know how to answer a question from the judges, you're going to score lower. Even if the work's in the document, the judges will be able to tell whether you've done it or not. So just know your content. That's key. That doesn't mean you can't get help, but make sure you understand how you're being helped. Bring supplementary materials. The judges always say that students and teams make tons of amazing prototypes and put pictures in the portfolios, but then never bring them. If you've got tons of stuff in your school in a box, bring the box with you. It's amazing. The judges will want to touch it and see the different iterations for your cars. You might make a jig for something. I don't know why you would, but you might make a jig for something. You might make a testing rig. Bring it with you so you can show it to them. Practice makes perfect. Practice your design interview with teachers in school or students as many times as possible. You know what it's kind of going to be like. The judges ask questions from the scorecards, so bear that in mind and practice, practice, practice. Don't leave it to the last minute. Be open to the creative criticism that you'll get in your feedback. That's really important to help you improve on your F1 in Schools journey. So just be open to that. Chat to other teams and look through each other's portfolios and be open to be able to improve. And again, use that feedback to develop and grow in the competition. But remember what I said, if you would just get to a regionals, great, use that scorecard. If you progress to a nationals, discard your regional content and just go off your nationals one. It's always the latest competition that you've been to that'll give you the best insight on where your work is rather than trying to use them all holistically. Okay, examples, probably what you've all been waiting for because it's not stuff that's shared a lot. What I will say is if you do follow Off the Track podcast, then it's a great podcast, but also they recently shared some portfolios for lots of good work on there. I think they shared 3 different teams. So if I was you, I'd get on Off the Track, Google search it, make a note, and have a look. They have openly shared portfolios from World Finals work. So it's all on Turnitin, don't forget, but at least it's there as an example and a good one to give you that idea. So for this Twilight session, I've got my examples from CHS Lightning, from Cheadle School. They actually were our national champions for development class. That's not why I shared their portfolio. It's because actually it is laid out really well, so it's nice to see. So you can see here, this is one of their pages. It's their regional cars summary, and it covers the design process and the evaluation of the design process quite nicely. It's really well labeled, and they just break all of their car down, and they evaluate it. They look at how they're going to improve. But what I said before about spreading things around on your portfolio, they have design concepts in here. They've talked about 3D modeling. They've talked about the use of CAM and CNC. But they've also got this section here where they're talking about some of the research and development that they've done that's helped to inform some of their design decisions. It's really nice to see. It's broken down lovely. There's loads of great pictures that are in there, and you can't quite see, but on these little discs here, they're showing areas of research that they've brought in to help develop their car. So they're spreading the love around there. And in the top up here, you can't quite see, but they're also highlighting some key terms and talking about some of the terminology that they've got in there. So again, lots of information talking about their design, and then some nice pictures to be able to talk and visualize through those iterations. Now, I don't know if they did this or not, but how nicer would it have been if they had these prototypes with them, talk in their judges briefing with as they're going through their portfolio. Again, nationals design, so this is them progressing to their car. And again, so this is the actual full page here, and this is a snapshot of that, and this is the refining the car design section. You can see there's loads of CAD modeling, there's loads of CFD, there's different materials. They're talking about which rules and regulations they're meeting in their changes and how they've changed and progressed through those iterations. They've got a debrief here where they debriefed everything from their design to talk about how they could improve that. And you can just see each element of the car again broken down. Now, it's quite busy. It's quite difficult to see it all in small, but you can just see the different elements, what they've been talking about, and pulling that research through and that testing. So they've covered concepts, 3D modeling, CAM and CNC, CFD, the design process has been evaluated, and testing, even though it's been in that CFD kind of form. So again, really nice to see all these different elements on here. So this is them visiting Manchester Met. So this is their testing page. So they visited the Manchester Metropolitan University, one of our F1 Schools academies. Now, you don't have to do that. They made their own wind tunnel, you can see down here, but then they've just got simple things like dimensional checks. Everyone can do dimensional checks. Everyone should be able to talk about that. ANSYS software or CFD software, you can use Autodesk Flow or whatever it is that you want to do. I believe ANSYS is free for education. So everyone should be able to have access to that. And if not, reach out to an engineering company who can help and support you to go through and kind of do that on there. At the very top, they explain the testing process. So they talk through what they tested and why they've tested it before they go into detail about what they've done on their work, which is really nice to see. And any sort of key points that they're talking about, they're highlighting those in yellow, so it's easy to kind of go through there. And I suppose at this point, there's CHS Lightning's logo. It's all in yellow and black. That was the theme of their car. So again, it's well presented. It's nice and neat. And again, it's flowing through lovely on there. Now, I do appreciate it's past. I've got 2 more pages to go through. So feel free to leave if you need to, and you can go back and check. You can go back in and check the recording once it's published. Alternatively, if you can stay for a few more minutes, then appreciate that, and I'll tackle the questions at the end. Manufacturing tab, everyone's going to be manufacturing, whether you're entry, development, or professional class, whichever country you're in. So again, it's all important to document that, but it's not just about documenting how you've manufactured it, what you're doing. And you can see here from CHS Lightning that they've basically analyzed how they might manufacture it, what kind of manufacturing techniques they could use, what are the pros and cons. So they've delved into a lot of deep detail about manufacturing, rather than, we all know we've got to use a CNC machine to manufacture the model, unless you're on entry class and you're 3D printing. But what are the pros and cons of it? How does CNC machining affect your design for your car? All those questions that you go through when you're thinking about designing your car, you want to answer and document here on your pages and on your portfolios. And again, they're talking about engineering drawings, but remember, again, you do need to submit engineering drawings to scrutineering with your car. Well, then build them into your portfolio, because they're an important part of the manufacture. So make sure you do include those, but it's always tempting to put an engineering drawing as a full page, because it is an A4 page or an A3 page when you export it out of your CAD program. So, just think cleverly about how you use those, cleverly how you talk about them when you're thinking about there. And again, you can see they've got stuff around their car journey, stuff around quality control, safety, and what kind of parts they need. So they've broken everything down, including, and I didn't crop that, the materials section that's on there. Okay, last example then. So I've shown, I think I've shown 4 of the 5 pages on here. The other page, again, is similar flows. You don't really need me to keep going through it, but I just want to show here that they've got their initial design concepts that they've brought in. They've got their designs for their side pods on here. And I think the reason why I want to show this is because it's got a variety of hand sketches. It's got a variety of research and testing also built in. And then it's also got their CAD work and CAD developments that are part of that. And you can see they've got some research on some shapes for wing designs and how the air flows over those, what the positives and negatives are. And they've built that into the specific wing design for their car. So again, if you're thinking about your wings, if you just picked a shape randomly out your head and that's what you're going with, brilliant. If you're picking a shape and then you're going to test it and then you're going to improve it, then write about it. Show where you found that research online, or who gave you that research, and build it into your portfolio as you've got it there. That's really important to talk through those stages as you go through this particular part of the car design. So again, I think it's really easy to see from all 4 of these pages, when you look down the side about what kind of things are included, that they've got great coverage of the whole scorecard across each of the pages. So yeah, there's one particular theme per page, but you can see quite clearly that they're covering and really considering what they can bring into that portfolio. Now, obviously, if you're a development class team, you've got more pages, so you can bring in more content, you can talk about more iterations. There's obviously a lot more regulations that you've got to meet, so you can bring those in into your portfolio to build it out there and get to that sort of 10-page mark that's on there. Okay, not too bad, only 3 minutes over on the example. Again, you'll all get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. We'll email that out tomorrow to you, along with the recording as well. And as I said, we're going to publish that recording. So I think I tried to put together my top 5 tips and I ended up with 12. So bear these in mind. And remember, anything that I just talked through here doesn't mean you're going to win the competition. So please just bear that in mind as you're going about what you're doing with your work. Okay, so use the scorecard is really, really key. Be creative. We're always looking for new ways to see how you can tackle the scorecard and how you can tackle your layout, etc. that's on there. Find experts to help you. You're not an expert in all of these things, so go out and find them. Speak to as many local companies as possible. They are willing to help and they want to help. As an ex-teacher, I know that whenever I reached out to anybody, more often they would try and find time to help and support. So teachers reach out, but students reach out as well. You know, and you never know, your friends group, even if not the rest of schools, what their parents do. Just try and find out, ask the questions. It's really important. Bring any supporting documents with you to your competition. If you've got a sketch pad full of sketches and designs that you couldn't fit into your portfolio, bring it with you. If you've got 10 CAD models that you did before you chose which car you were going to go forwards with, try and bring that with you to showcase it and show it to the judges. If you've got tons of prototypes that you've manufactured, stick them on an MDF block and bring them with you. There's no rules or regulations on how much stuff you can bring to show the judges, but remember, you do only have a set amount of time as well. So if you bring too much, you might overface the judges, but if you bring the important things that you can show what you've been doing and you can show your iterations, your development to support your portfolio, then definitely bring them. Know your content. If you don't know what's in your portfolio, the judges will know that and you'll probably score lower because they might not think that you've done the work. Don't leave this portfolio until the last minute. It's worth 180 points. It's a big deal. And you're doing the work as you're designing your car. So whoever your engineers are or your CAD designers, they're doing the work as it's going. So document it all. Video yourself chatting while you're doing it if you really have to. So you've got the notes. But whatever you do, don't leave it to the end so that you can practice it. Check, double check, and triple check your work. That's really key, and you should do that with everything in F1 in schools. That's just a standard thing that you'll do with all of your school work, hopefully. So don't treat this as any different just because it's a competition and it's separate to your normal curriculum work that you do. Check it, double check it, triple check it. Are you happy with it? Is there anything else you can put in? Have you missed anything absolutely critical? And double check it against the scorecard. Okay, get your scorecard out. Have you missed a line item? Because if you've missed one full line item, you're losing 20 points and there's nothing you can do about it. Document everything, and I've just talked about that. Don't include anything that won't score you any points. As I mentioned before, get stuff in the portfolio that matters. Don't bother wasting your time on other bits and pieces. If you've got extra time to do that, then do it, great. But just think about the scorecards if you're really wanting to do well in the competition. Reach out to everyone in schools if you want to clarify anything. If you think, I don't really understand this, I don't know what's going on, then just get in touch with me, get in touch with Amy. We will help you out as much as we can. But just remember, we're impartial. We can't tell anybody how many points we think something's worth. And remember, we're not judging on the day. So obviously that's not going to mean anything to you anyway. So yeah, if you want to ask, just ask. Be open to sharing your work with others is key. We don't have a massive network of stuff to share. So share your work. Share it with people. Stick it on social media. Be proud of your work, but share it. And remember, it's on, turn it in. So it's protected. People can't copy it from that point of view. So yeah, be open to share it. And if you see other people share it and you borrow someone's work to look through, then make sure you share yours back. And as I said, Off the Track is a great place for that. And network with other competing teams. Be on social media. Check out who else is competing. And when you get to the events, share little cards with each other or whatever. Make WhatsApp groups, whatever it is that you can do. So that you can network and help each other, because you're the best people to help and support each other. And likewise, teachers, just go and chat to the other teachers, try and build up a bit of a network. If you want to have a quick Zoom meeting with them to ask any questions about what they're doing, be open and share and network. The best way to improve and the best way to do really well. So that's my hints and tips. We're pretty much there. So questions, I think I only saw a couple of questions come in. One question from Karis. What does F1 in schools classify as R&D when marking, or is it the general development with testing, why we've changed it, or is it more of research into design concepts? So the scorecard's basically saying that research development throughout your entire product in your design and development cycle. So anything that you think of linked to the design of your car, if you're looking for aerodynamics and specific things linked to that, then that'll be classed as research, and that's what they'll be looking for. The judges are open, so they've got the same scorecard as you are. They haven't got a checklist of have they done aerodynamics on a front wing, have they done one on a rear wing, have they researched this particular part, have they researched this material or this manufacturing process. You're just looking generally through all of your project, what research is relevant for you. So don't do research for research's sake. Just do research on the relevant things that are part of your your project. And probably what you'll find is, as you start making changes to your design, more research will pop in and you'll find out more. Or as you talk to more people linked to motorsport or linked to engineering or linked to the enterprise side of whatever you're doing, then that might give you another idea to research more stuff on top of that. And I guess what we're saying is just document that on top of all the other stuff that you're doing. Don't just discard the fact that you Googled something, found out some information, and then improved your design. Just let the judges know, what did you Google? Why did you Google it? What did you find out? And how did it have an impact on your design? Is, I think, what we're trying to look at here. So I hope that's answered that question for you, Karis. So I can't see any more questions, which is great. If you do have any more, then that's absolutely fine. You can email me or Amy, or if you're from another country, please email your own in-country coordinator or your global delivery partner. So the very last slide and the last thing to say is what's next. So I'm going to be doing something very similar next Monday at 4 p.m. again. It might last an extra 10 minutes like this one, so bear that in mind if you come in. If you've already registered, great, you'll get a link later in the week from Amy. And again, have a look online at the link and the form, because we've got something like this for every single one. It'll be a very similar format in terms of looking through the scorecard, in terms of looking through an example portfolio, and just giving you hints and tips on what we think you can do from an enterprise portfolio point of view. So again, if you're in an entry class team, you probably don't want to come next week, because it's not part of what you're doing in the UK. However, if you want to come to learn anyway, then that's absolutely fine. It will all be recorded and it will all be put out onto the website, so you should be able to get access to these resources anyway. But anybody who's been in this chat today, anyone who signed up, I'm going to send you a copy separately of the PowerPoint presentation and also of this recording, so you've got it if you need it. Now, we've never done this before, so I hope it has been useful. I hope it's been nice to hear and probably give you some confidence in what you've been doing is right. But yeah, I'm stay online. So if anyone does have any more questions for the next couple of minutes, then feel free to just stick any more in the chat. If not, thank you so much for attending. Hope to see you at some point in the near future, either at a Twilight or at a regional event. But other than that, have a great evening and thank you very much.